Okay, so we all know about false flag attacks and everything else out there. I'd just like to point out and give a big old thanks to MoxNews for digging this video out for me, because sometimes you just can't catch a story, because once they play it, they don't ever play it again, and then they and it just gets swept under the rug and forgot about. But yeah, big old thank you to MoxNews, man. And like when I first met him, I mean, he was kind of hard on me. He's like, "You subscribe or get lost," and I was like, right back, like, "Well, what are you gonna offer me?" And boy, let me tell you, he's really offered and did a lot of work for me and everything, digging out stories that I missed and I can't find. And I just like to thank you. I know it's hard work, because you got to go back and then view it and everything else. But you view the stories and everything. But I'd also like to show on this Mexican border stuff, because a lot of false flags, and we're all familiar with false flags, and it looks like they've been pulling a couple false flags on the border. Now, I mean, it could be, I don't think it's like government planned, not like controlled. It looks more, I mean, it could be, it doesn't look, it could be, I mean, it could be a number of things. My thought is, that the sheriff that was shot in the desert, he was plainclothes, and he was a plainclothes officer with a rifle, so maybe some drug dealing didn't go down so well back there, and, he got pissed off, shot himself, and wanted to blame who, for whatever reason, And so, I mean, because the evidence is obvious right there. And then they use it to blame the Mexicans and all this stuff. But right at that time, there was also the BP oil leak. And then as soon as the BP oil leak spilled out and everything, that's just like a week later, they slammed the immigration stuff down on the Senate or whoever gets out the word, and then that's when they started opening up this profile law. That's when they first started doing it. And why? To get everybody's mind off of the BP oil leak and the mercury and the chloroxic acid or whatever they're using, mercury that they're using to subdue the chemicals to keep on the bottom of the ocean, so it kills all the life form on the bottom or what you eat. I mean, you like mercury, that's fine with you. Some doctors even say it's good for you. But anyhow, yeah, I just want you guys to look at these videos, put together what you think in your mind it could be happening, because even the boating incident, I mean, she could have went out there, killed him, and then, did whatever. Or they could have went out there, drug deal gone bad, I mean, drugs are cheaper over the border. I mean, I've never gotten any or anything like that, but I'm just saying. So it could be a lot of things, They said that she tried to get his body back upon the thing, but then there's no blood. 60. I mean, you guys listen to this stuff, and now I mean, even today they keep saying stuff ain't jiving. And I'm looking to see, well, are they using it to profile the Mexicans, to try to keep the immigration law functioning and all this other stuff, and trying to make it look bad so they get more laws to profile more people, So I just wanted to point that out, and what else can I say?
21 minutes past the hour now on Studio B. An afternoon of jet skiing turned into a real tragedy for a couple from the United States after suspected drug cartels shot an American tourist. Happened on Lake Falcon. See it here. Runs along the border of Texas and Mexico. We're told David and Tiffany Hartley were sightseeing in Mexico's waters. So that's the story anyway. When Tiffany Hartley says several boats of armed men began firing at them and shot her husband in the head. Police say Tiffany Hartley made it back to shore where she called 911.
Sure that your husband got shot?
Yeah, he was in his head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was he thrown out of the jet ski that he's in the water or something?
No, he was thrown out the jet ski, and they're going to take him out to get him on mine.
Crews in Texas are continuing their search today for David Hartley. Trace Gallagher's following this from our West Coast News Hub. The wife says she tried to get her husband aboard but couldn't. Why?
She couldn't check because they were apparently idling around out there in these Mexican waters, and they saw these boats coming at them, and that's when she said they started revving up and gassing up, getting out of there in their jet ski. She was actually ahead of her husband. When the boats came toward them and started firing, she looked back. She noticed that her husband had been hit and fell off his jet ski. She circled back around to try and pick him up. She says she was there for a few seconds, but the boats kept coming. They kept firing, so she fled. It was quite a chase. We're talking about maybe 4 or 5 miles. That's how deep they were thought to be in Mexican waters. And then all the way back to the United States side, Tiffany Hartley says she believes one of the Mexican boats actually crossed into U.S. waters. We're going to play you some more of that 911 tape, which is riveting. They have not yet found David Hartley's body, and they're not clear yet if Mexican authorities are helping them search on the Mexican side of Falcon Lake, Shep.
You know, Trace, it's not as if this is a place that hasn't seen trouble. It's been a very troublesome spot. It's right on the border, and they knew it. What are they doing out there in jet skis?
Yeah, you know, the thing is, Shep, these Mexican pirates are acting a lot like the Somalian pirates, and what happens is they're taking 2 or 3 and sometimes 4 boats, and they're going after these targets and surrounding them. So far, these hostage situations, if you will, have been fairly peaceful. They get on board the boat and they demand money. But they put a warning out 5 months ago about this lake after the first 3 pirate attacks had happened. Well, since then, there have been 2 more pirate attacks from these Mexican boats out there, bringing the total now to 5. And they believe that some of these pirate groups are working for the Zeta drug cartel. And the victims say the pirates are sometimes dressed as federal police, sometimes dressed as Mexican fish and game authorities, which makes it much more difficult for people who want to resist them to do so when you're in Mexican waters.
All right, Trace, thanks. Let's get to the legal panel now. With us now, former prosecutor Tom Caniff and the criminal defense attorney, John Manuelian. John, I don't know where to start with this except to say to a lot of observers, and I don't have any information about this, but to a lot of observers it looks weird that this couple who ought to know better are out there where all these bad things have happened.
Right, but I don't think there's any criminal implication here. I know there's an insinuation that maybe she took her husband out there, that she did something that was wrong. But here are the facts. There's a witness that saw the entire incident, number 1. Number 2, there's no motive to lie in this case. We don't know anything about an insurance policy or whether she's been in an abusive relationship. And number 3, Governor Perry has come forth and said he knows about the problem, so there's no reason to believe that she's lying.
Tom, what's your take on this?
Shep, there's a little bit more to it than that. Look, I mean, if this is truly an act of piracy, then it's a wonderful, or I should say a horrific example of how badly the security situation on the U.S.-Mexican border deteriorated. That being said, you know, to really objectively investigate this case, you have to ask yourself that why would a married couple, given the well-publicized incidents of violence and piracy that have plagued Lake Falcon that Trace talked about over the last few months, why would they be jet skiing 4, 5, 6 miles into the Mexican border on a purported sightseeing mission? Now, look, you know, I'm not accusing anyone of any foul play. And there is no evidence that the wife or anybody else, you know, other than these alleged pirates were implicated in this murder. But, you know, it would be irresponsible not to ask the question as to what their motive was in making this trip.
Is that a fair assessment there, John? I mean, it's not as if they didn't know the area. And I'm not trying to put blame off on anybody, but you're jet skiing 6 miles into Mexican waters with all that we know that's going on in New Mexico? It just doesn't pass the smell test. I don't know what else to say but that.
Shep, let me tell you this. I don't know if you've been jet skiing. I just recently went jet skiing in Cabo,
never on the Mexican border when they're murdering people for weed.
I know, but there's no border sign. When you go past the Mexican border, it doesn't say welcome to Mexico. You're not really measuring how far you're going. So it's really hard to tell when you're jet skiing how far you're going, especially if you're going fast.
But Shep, if I can just jump in here, that doesn't purport or doesn't jive with the wife's story. She said they knew they were going into Mexico, that they were there going to observe some ruins that were 5 or 6 miles across the border. I grew up jet skiing on the Great South Bay of Long Island. The average jet ski today goes about 60 or 70 miles per hour. Yeah. That's faster than the vast majority of boats out there, including speedboats. You know, another problem that I see with this story is, you know, according to the wife's, you know, account of it, they're on their jet skis and they see these boats approaching with guns. Now they're on crafts that are capable of probably outrunning most boats out there. She's saying that her husband sustained a gunshot to the back of his head. This would have to be an extremely high-powered rifle. It would require exceptionally good marksmanship and a lot of good luck for one moving target to hit another moving target that's going at speeds upwards of 60 or 70 miles per hour.
And the wife gets away.
And the wife gets away.
I mean, all I'm saying is it doesn't smell good. If it were fish, I wouldn't eat it. Good to see you both. Thank you for your time. It's been a couple of months since the United States Senate confirmed Elena Kagan to the United States Supreme Court. And now it's time to get to work.
Give me some help. And Ranger, hey!
Okay. Yeah.
I've been hit. I've been hit. I've been hit.
The shots were fired 5 months ago. Tonight, we still don't know who pulled the trigger.
Deputies just don't make up stories like this.
But what exactly happened out in the Pinal County desert is still a mystery. Because now 2 nationally known forensic experts say Deputy Louis Pearl's story and his injuries just don't mix.
There was never a doubt or question about Deputy Pearl, his account, because all the evidence matched up and fully supported his statement.
The shooting investigation was reopened. It will now focus on Pearl's t-shirt, now at the state crime lab for testing. After the shootout, a sheriff's spokesman says investigators did not send the t-shirt for analysis, and their detectives were the ones who looked at Pearl's side and determined he was shot from a distance. But the medical experts say based on his injury, there was no way that's true. That's why the sheriff's office decided to send the t-shirt for testing, and says that if Pearl was shot from only inches away, there would be gunshot residue, charring, and burning.
With all the controversy surrounding the t-shirt, it seems to be that everyone is missing one very important point. As you can see from the video, the deputy seems to have a type of garment swinging from his backpack. Deputy sheriffs know well that in the desert, you wear a long-sleeve shirt. The deputy had no scratches on his arms or dirt or any other debris that was mentioned in the report. That garment is one key piece of evidence that needs to be studied by DPS. Sheriff, if you have the garment, turn it over. Let's see it. Let's examine it. Let's find the truth.